The honeymoon phase of retirement. Isn't it great? Hey, for those of you who haven't retired yet, just wait till you hit that, man. It's like you're bursting with the radiance of the sun. The world is your oyster. Can I think of any other, phrases like that? You know what I'm talking about. You feel like you can do anything at any time you want to do it. It's awesome. I've got 12 people's experience that I'll get to in a minute here of how long their honeymoon phase lasted. For some, it's a long time. For others, some people don't even go through the honeymoon phase. This can happen if you got forced out of your job. If you retired and your identity was wrapped up in your work. You'll see from these examples, it really varies. But guys, leave me comments. For those of you who are already retired, how long did your honeymoon phase last? Your honeymoon phase last. Let us know. Very curious about that. So here we go. And I got all this from Facebook. And I'll be going up and down reading. So I'm going to be going bum, 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 bum like that. Okay. I hope you don't get dizzy. Here's the first experience for you. This woman was a pharmacist for 45 years. She retired last year in April. She loved her job, but changed her job on Facebook finally to dog mom once she retired. Her honeymoon phase lasted 6 months, she says. Then she got into kind of, what am I going to do now? Right? It's the new retirement is just an extension of life, right? It's the totally new phase in your life. So how did she get out of that? She now volunteers at an animal shelter. Okay. That's a big part of it. You need to find hobbies. You need to find some kind of purpose once you get past that honeymoon stage. Here's the second one out of 12. This man was planning on at least a year of solo travel after retirement. 2 weeks into his trip, he said the first 2 weeks were great. 2 weeks into his trip, he broke his ankle in Taiwan. Since returning back home, he's felt directionless and purposeless. So for him, it was kind of a forced end to his honeymoon phase. But ever since then, yeah, he's felt directionless and purposeless. Makes sense, right? Especially 2 weeks in. How are you going to have time to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life? You don't. Hey, for those of you who see me for the first time, my name is Duane, and this is a retirement channel for people on moderate income. If you think you might like that, think about subscribing and like the video. Number 3, this woman says her entire 14-year retirement has been a honeymoon. She's one of the rare ones. She's still going 14 years strong, guys. She has never been bored, and she travels a lot. It's the key, never being bored. I know sometimes now, I'll wake up, I'll get done with the stuff I need to get done by 10:30, and then I'm going, what am I doing the rest of the day? Most of the time it's not an issue, but sometimes it can be. Number 4, this man's entire identity was tied to work. Okay, that can be a big problem, especially for those of you who are in high-powered positions before you retired. When he retired in 2023, he was depressed for 6 months. Okay, this is one of the ones that didn't go through the honeymoon phase. Now he loves teaching fiber arts. In his case, wool. What did he do? He found a purpose. He found a hobby that keeps him busy through his retirement days. Yeah, at first he wasn't doing too good until he found something to do. Number 5, this woman was so lost after retiring as an attorney, one of those high-powered jobs, identity tied to work. So she was so lost after retiring as an attorney, she almost got a job as a flight attendant just to not be bored. Now this doesn't say if she has finally found what she wants to do. It was a short comment. She might be still struggling with this. Okay, so that's one of them who didn't have a honeymoon phase. In this case, it wasn't forced, like the guy who broke his ankle. Just didn't happen. Number 6, this man had a great time in retirement for a couple of years until COVID hit. That was the end of his honeymoon phase. Okay, in this case, he had a honeymoon phase and it was brought to an abrupt halt by, things outside of his control. What are you going to do? I mean, guys, in COVID, what did you do, right? What was there to do to keep busy? Sit around, watch TV 12 hours a day, right? So for this guy, it lasted 2 years until it was forcefully halted. Number 7, here is a man who is 2.5 years into retirement and still in his honeymoon phase. He has a part-time business that keeps him busy. Okay, huge, dare I say, huge part of retirement. And especially moderate income retirement, like this channel is about. Part-time work. You know, some of you might not even need the additional money, but you might need to just want to stay busy, right? Or you might want that additional peace of mind. In this case, that's what the guy did. Part-time business, it keeps him busy, okay? Again, guys, there's no one size fits all for this honeymoon phase, right? Or for retirement in general. You have to figure out what works for you, what keeps you busy, what makes you happy. Number 8, this woman is 6 years into retirement and still, she claims, in her honeymoon phase. Why? Here's another example. She's learned 2 languages in those 6 years of retirement. And her motto, just keep learning. Keep learning things. Keep yourself busy. So she's never got out of her honeymoon phase after 6 years. Pretty amazing, right? They say in general, from what I've read, what I've heard, honeymoon phase usually lasts between 2 months and 2 years. Okay, there can be outliers like this lady I just talked about. There can be other outliers where they just never went through it because forced retirement, identity wrapped up in their job, stuff like that. So it really varies. Number 9, this man retired 14 months ago from a very stressful job and is loving having to go to work. So he's 14 months into his honeymoon phase, okay? So what happens after your honeymoon phase? This is when you realize that the rest of your life is going to be as a retired person. What are you going to do to fill up that time? It's not like the honeymoon phase where it's just like you're doing this, all these things you had checked off to do when you retired, right? When those things run out, that's when for a lot of people their honeymoon phase ends. Number 10, this woman honeymoon phase lasted 2 years. She stayed busy every day, but now she can't think of anything to do after tidying up the house. She says she has just ended her honeymoon phase, okay? I guess she ran out of things to do. What's the answer to that? Experiment. Look for different things to do. You know, half the things you try, you might not like. But those other half, you might. You've got to keep looking, guys. You got to keep looking. Keep those juices flowing, right? So you don't just become stagnant. Here's number 11. Here's a man who is a year into retirement and still in his honeymoon phase. Okay, now this one's kind of rare. Well, yeah, I think it's still kind of rare. I think a lot of people want to stay busy. Okay, this guy, what does he do? He relaxes and just does what he wants every day. A year into retirement. Good for him. Is the end of the honeymoon phase coming for him? I hope not, but it might be. But you know, some people just don't get tired of just relaxing all day long. You know, if you retired later in life, let's say you retired 65 plus, and you had a very stressful or very physically demanding job, I get it, okay? But especially for those of you who retired early, you're probably going to get bored with just sitting around doing nothing and relaxing all day long. Later in life, maybe not. And finally, number 12 for you. This woman says she was lost for a year until she started working out and doing part-time work. Okay, health, right? What is health? What does working out do for you besides the obvious? The sometimes that not so obvious is that pheromones. Endorphins, pheromones, what the heck, man? Endorphins, it gives you that good feeling, right? After you work out, maybe that's part of why she doesn't feel lost anymore. Okay? Also part-time work. You know, and even if you're not on a moderate income, guys, if you have millions of dollars in the bank and you don't need the money, you might just want to work part-time for something to do, right? So there you go, guys. There's 12 examples of how the honeymoon phase can really vary depending on the person, right? Just know that probably you'll have that happen to you, but also know that it will end at some time. So that means you have to figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's not hard. It just takes trial and error. And as always, from the lovely high desert, we got this.